I'm really excited today to tell you a story about two brothers, which is just sort of played out in the real world. So I'm going to give you the story while it's fresh in my mind. And it's about the importance of goal setting and giving yourself some plans before you go out and get a property and just worry about your borrowing capacity. Hi, my name is Max Phelps. I'm a money coach with Golden Eggs, where we're on a mission to help people stop worrying about money and get on the path to financial independence. Now, it'd be wrong to say this story is just about two brothers, because actually it was one of their partners that first approached us who said, "We need your help." And we did what we always do when we sat down with her and the first of the two brothers, which is we started out by looking at their long-term goals. Now, we'll send you a link later on to see how we break down those goals, but the first one of those goals is about the family. But let me just give you a little bit of an insight into the two brothers, because we started off with one, then we got referred to the other, dealt with both brothers, both partners. Now, the interesting thing here is both brothers had similar levels of savings. Brothers and their partners, had similar levels of savings. They had very similar incomes, and their partners had very similar incomes. So each of the two households looked very, very similar on paper. And in fact, both of them approached me approached Golden Eggs and said, "We would like to buy a property for $1 million." And it was fair to say that both sets could afford a property for around $1 million. But it was when we went into their goals that we realised that neither of them should be buying a place for $1 million. So let me talk first about Matt. So Matt and his partner, who was the one who first approached us, Nadia, they were looking for a place. Originally they said $1 million. And I said, well, we looked at their family situation, and they were looking to settle down somewhere, have a family fairly soon, and they wanted to try and buy in an area that they could end up living in. And so we then said, well, what would it cost to buy a place to live in the area that you want to live in long term? Maybe a place with enough space to expand if you have kids, and expand to an extra living spaces if the kids become teenagers. And they said, well, it would cost us about probably 1.2, but we're not sure that we've got enough savings to make that happen. Now, that was their story. Then the other brother came along, Jack, and his partner, and they said they were looking for a property for about $1 million. And we said, well, what will that buy you? And they said it will buy something that's quite nice for us to live in at the moment, but to live in we're not really sure that where they wanted to live longer term, and to buy a longer term family home in the area they wanted to live in was going to cost about probably $1.5 to $2 million, which they were nowhere near ready for. But on the other hand, if they were to take and by the way, if they did buy a $1.5 to $2 million property in sort of 5 to 10 years time, there's no way they could afford to keep the $1 million property as an investment. Whereas if they bought a cheaper property, let's say around $700,000 to $750,000, then they could get the first home buyer benefits. The property would be perfectly adequate for their current needs up until the point where they might have a first child and maybe even a second child, and then they'd have to look for a family home. But by then they'd have built up more savings, their incomes should have grown because they're on a career, and therefore they're in a better position to buy that long-term family home. So when it came to Jack, we had to take him from $1 million down to around $750,000 as a maximum. And when it came to Matt and his partner Nadia, we had to take them from $1 million up to 1.2, so they could just buy their long-term family home in one step. So that was the plan we came up with as a result of a simple goal-setting session with them. And the brilliant thing is that they're two brothers, very competitive, of course. Jack was the first to buy. They found a place. They got their offer accepted. We got the finance was all approved and everything else on Friday, which is yesterday. And then today, as I was out shopping with mask on, ready to go, I get a phone call from Matt saying, we've just had an offer accepted on a property. It's going to be a brilliant long-term family home for $1.2 million. So here we have two people, same situation, same income, same assets and everything else, but at different stages. Now, the reason that we're able to make both work in a slightly different way is because their parents were good enough to be guarantors that let Matt stretch the budget up to 1.2 million without using mortgage insurance, and for Jack to actually borrow all of the money that they needed for the $750,000 property, so they could keep all of their savings still available in an offset account, so that they could build much more quickly for that long-term family home later. But until we know goals, until we know where people want to go, then we can't make a recommendation. We don't know whether we should be saying, oh yeah, we'll get you $1 million property, or whether we need to talk you down a price bracket or up a price bracket. And if you'd like to know more, we will put a link in the comments as to where you can find the template for the goal setting. We have it on our web app. But we'd love to share that with you. We'd love to help you achieve your goals, just like we're helping both Matt and Jack and their partners, because that's the fun of the game, to get the messages and the calls on a Saturday afternoon saying, hey, we just had an offer accepted. And I get really excited by this because, okay, it's not my life, it's not my goals, but I'm really happy for them. And it's what makes our jobs such fun to do. And they loved being able to speak to me, and I was able to speak to their parents afterwards, and we're just really excited about the whole thing. So if you want to be more inclined to hit your goals, it's important that you set some. Ask us how, look at our apps to find out how, and we'd be more than happy to help you in the future. My name is Max. I'm a money coach with Golden Eggs, and I want you to remember to always be genuine, have fun, and stay curious.